and welcome to part 75 of my report on the McCarrick Report by Patrick Parson. Continuing Chapter 22 of the McCarrick Report, titled Holy See Decision Making and McCarrick's Activity Following Pope Benedict XVI's Trip to the United States, and Prefect Re's June 14, 2008 letter to McCarrick, mid-2008 to early 2009. We begin Part B, Cardinal Re's Written Indications to McCarrick, June to August 2008, pages 295 to 302. On June 14, 2008, Cardinal Re, Prefect of the Congregation for Bishops, wrote separate letters to Nuncio Sambi and to Cardinal McCarrick. Re's letter to the Nuncio acknowledged McCarrick's imprudences and possibility of more accusations, and said it would be appropriate to convince McCarrick to accept the following indications. A. McCarrick not remain in the Redemptoris Mater Seminary in Washington, D.C. B. McCarrick conduct a more private life, not accepting invitations in the U.S. or abroad, except for special cases as judged by the Holy See. Cardinal Re also asked Nuncio Sambi to talk to McCarrick to help convince him to accept the indications, and also for the Nuncio to hand-deliver the indications letter to McCarrick in August. Re's letter to McCarrick acknowledges McCarrick's denial of committing sexual acts with others, but the open letter posted by Richard Sipe on the Internet to the Pope, and Sipe's commentary titled The Cardinal McCarrick Syndrome, left him no choice. Re points out how the testimony by men who affirmed they were in bed with McCarrick is usually interpreted in a very negative way, and that such accusations harm the Church and weaken the authority of her pastors. Re appeals to McCarrick's ecclesial spirit in not accepting invitations for any public events, so he does not draw attention to himself, which causes the old accusations to spread. Re also asks McCarrick to choose a different residence, such as a home for the elderly, where he could act as chaplain, or a monastery that would accept him as a guest. Cardinal Re points out to McCarrick that conducting a quiet life by carrying out an apostolate among the elderly and living a life of prayer would offer an edifying example and could even halt the spreading of accusations against you. A footnote tells us that Cardinal Re confirmed the letter was not a decree and had no legal value, and neither did it set forth a canonical sanction or a judicial precept. However, Cardinal Re expected McCarrick, as a bishop, to follow the indications as a moral obligation that was for the good of the Church, which should be sufficient as a reason. The footnote also refers to the Minutante in the Congregation of Bishops, who translated Re's letter from Italian into English. Apparently, Minutante means translator or minute taker. The translation was unusual in that some of the phrases would have been reworked into more standard English, but the goal was to state precisely what Cardinal Re wanted to tell McCarrick. Cardinal Re also informed Pope Benedict XVI of the Congregation for Bishops' decision to urge McCarrick to lead a quiet life. Cardinal Re said later, I communicated to the Pope the contents of the letter, the substance of the letter, and the Pope was in agreement. He said, good, very good. On June 16, 2008, Cardinal Re sent a copy of the letter to Cardinal Bertone stating McCarrick should no longer be invited to Rome for meetings of the various dicasteries to which he belonged. Apparently he did not know that McCarrick had already been invited as a delegate in Rome for one event in November, and had plans to visit the Holy Land and France in August. McCarrick also intended to go to Chile, Mexico City, and Malaysia. Nuncio Sambi delivered the letter of indications to McCarrick in Washington on August 22, 2008. What will McCarrick's reaction be? We will address that in our next segment when we start Part C of Chapter 22 of the McCarrick Report. What will God's reaction be when we report to Him for judgment? May He invite us to share salvation in heaven. Let us prepare for that time by praying the Fatima prayer. O my Jesus, forgive us our sins, save us from the fires of hell, and lead all souls to heaven, especially those in most need of thy mercy.